continuing my studying for the GRE. I take it in about 2 weeks. If I'm being honest, I considered moving it back, but I ultimately decided to go ahead and take it now, see what happens, and adjust as necessary. I've been continuing my studying with Target Test Prep, which has been extremely helpful. I have felt a little guilty about how long it's taken me to get through the content, but I'm also reminded and excited about the fact that because I'm taking so much time to get through the content, that I'm going to be able to hopefully learn and retain information come test day. As I mentioned before, I decided to move my application date to round 2, which has alleviated so much stress. Work is kind of dying down a little bit, and so that's helpful as well. So I'm excited about jumping into the process and preparing for my essays. So excited to get this test over with. So I really hope that this October test date will be a one and done for me. So recently, my wife and I took a much needed vacation to Orlando, Florida with our nephew, and we were there for about 5 days at a resort where we spent most of our time. And for one of the days, we went to Disney World with our nephew, and it was his first time ever being there. And so it was really nice to see the excitement and joy on his face, and that really lit a fire in me. And though I was there on a break, I did continue studying, but even doing so in that new environment was very helpful. Another thing that I've been doing for self-care is physical fitness and going to workouts, and that's been great because I've been able to see physical process. So not only am I making progress with my GRE studying and my thinking about essays and work, but I'm also making physical and health process as well, which has been a game changer throughout this entire time. The biggest piece of advice that I would give MBA applicants is to give yourself grace. This process is extremely challenging and it can be daunting. The self-reflection process is a lot as well. And so give yourself grace and time as you prepare to study for the GRE or the GMAT. And give yourself grace and time as you think about writing your essays, as you think about making connections and recommender packets. It requires a lot of work, and when you're balancing that with a full-time job and maybe other obligations, it can become very overwhelming. So give yourself grace and time.
I've officially signed up for my GRE, and I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm mostly excited. And I don't think I ever thought I'd say that or that those words would come out of my mouth, but I've just had such a rough summer, and I think it's taken me a long time to kind of find my new normal and get my groove. And so as I've moved back in and kind of settled in, got my whiteboard, started planning my weekly goals and my schedule, I was reminded that I could do this. And so I signed up for my GRE. I'm gonna start studying harder than I have before, hopefully to become test final. I also have applied to a couple conferences, diversity days and women's conferences, and I've gotten accepted to a couple already. I'm trying to finalize my school list, and so although I've come to realize that I cast a wide net originally, and I need to, reassess what my priorities are, what I'm looking for in schools, and hopefully be able to share a little bit more about this application process. As I reflect on this last month, I can't help but be grateful. There's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of political unrest. On Friday, we lost one of my idols, RBG, and although there's a lot going on right now, I can't help but see the silver lining, right? I get to be home. I get to be with my father, my fiance. During my study breaks, I can see my 6-week-old nephew, Lionel. And although the circumstances aren't great, I am grateful for the fact that I get to be home and enjoy this time before I leave for my MBA. I get to be with family before I hopefully get into a great program, in another state and move for a couple of years. Learning to see the silver lining in this situation, and I'm super grateful and excited for what lies ahead. Being back home has given me an opportunity to assess my priorities. And so when I first moved in, I got my whiteboard, I started scheduling my goals, I started setting everything. It was all work and studying. And I started to realize I was getting really burnt out. After a couple of weeks, I was tired, I wasn't as motivated, and so I took a step back and I started to realize what's missing. And as I was doing that, I remembered that, something that I love to do is to be outdoors, to run, to think about, focus on my physical health as well. And so with that in mind, I started to get up a little bit earlier and start building that into my schedule again. And I will say that setting time aside to focus on me and, my health has given me the energy to keep going through the day and actually stay motivated. I'm remembering again slowly the things that I love to do and including them in my day to help me get through this MBA journey. If there's any advice I could give someone else who's on their MBA journey, it would be not to compare yourself to others. This journey can be really rough, especially if you focus on everyone else who's also applying for an MBA. You start to think they have more work experience, or they know more, or they have a better network, what have you. And when you do that, it's really easy to then downplay everything that you've achieved and all of your accomplishments, and to start to wonder whether you're worthy of an MBA. And so I know that I've been guilty of doing that, of thinking, well, you know, that person in this virtual room seems to know so much more. They seem so much more prepared. But you have to remember that it's about your journey and it's your pace, and you are just as worthy of being in the room. Folks in those programs that you're going to be a part of are going to be able to learn from you as well, just as you're learning from them. And your voice is needed in those spaces just as much as their voices. So be confident, move forward. When you have your moments, you know, have your team to fall back on, have the people that you can talk to, but don't let that, you know, that comparison to others keep you from continuing in your journey.